And welcome to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. This is the sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University and its athletic programs. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau. And today our feature will be swimming and diving. And we have on the swimming and diving guests today. We have Eric Lindquist, the head coach, joining us once again here on the Cardinals Nest, and PJ Heller, a freshman freestyler for the swimming team. So Eric and PJ, thanks for being on the Cardinals Nest today. PJ, we'll start with you. You are from St. Cloud, so tell us how you got started in swimming and how you ended up coming to St. Mary's and what it is you're majoring in.
I started swimming when I was 7 years old. One of my friends was an avid swimmer, asked me to join her, and I went for it, I guess. Really enjoyed it and stuck with it. I came to St. Mary's, came for a tour really because my uncle came here for his college. Really liked the campus, really liked the people, and thought it'd be a good fit.
And Eric, can you kind of fill us in on how PJ's first year here has been?
I think it's been a solid year. There's a bit of a learning curve getting into the college season. The college season's a bit longer. PJ's a year-round swimmer, swimming with his local club in high school, so that was not a problem. But, you know, balancing life and academics and everything, I think he's done a terrific job. He's qualified in 3 events now for the conference meet. He'll be on relays, and look forward to seeing how he can finish up.
And PJ, why don't you expand on that as well? Talk a little bit about the adjustment coming from high school to collegiate swimming, maybe some of the things that really were a big adjustment for you, and maybe some of the things that were kind of easy for you to adjust to.
Well, it's definitely longer of a season, but otherwise there wasn't a whole lot of adjustment that came into it. The team's a lot more serious than I'm used to. There's a lot of immaturity in high school teams, but I think that's just the nature of high schoolers in general. Otherwise, I didn't have too many difficulties adjusting.
And PJ, you talked about just, you know, the maturation process. How have some of the upperclassmen helped with that process, and how have you relied on them?
Obviously, just showing an example, I guess, setting the trends of what's accepted, what we do, I guess, during the practices.
Right.
Eric, you know, we seem to talk all year long about the importance of 3 days in February, and those 3 days are next weekend up at the University of Minnesota for the MIC Championships. How has the season progressed heading into the conference championships?
You know, I think I would have answered the question different a couple weeks ago. We battled a lot of illness and some injury, and it seems like everybody's coming together right now. You're right, this is what we wait for. We finished our last opportunity to compete was last weekend at the MIAC Invitational. We went up there with the sole purpose of getting more people qualified. We picked up a few events, and now we begin that taper time that we've talked about all year. We're judged, our team is judged by how we perform on those 3 days in February. Nobody really keeps track of dual meet records or invitational places. It's where did you finish in the conference, at the conference meet, so that's what we're looking forward to.
I actually take stock in all those.
I know you do. I know you do. Big swimming fan. So.
PJ, talk a little bit about your preparation for the conference championships. What do you expect? This is going to be a first for you. So as you head into those 3 days, what's your expectations?
Well, obviously, I hope I swim fast. I'm feeling good. I've felt good the past few meets, and I just hope it gets even better from here, I guess.
Eric, you had talked about sort of off camera, we were talking about the conference championships, and you had said it's very impressive. It's at the University of Minnesota, just to see their aquatic facility sort of in operation. Give us some specifics as far as what you mean by that.
Yeah, I think there's a reason the MIAC and the MIAC conference staff work with the coaches to make sure we stay there every year. Obviously, the University of Minnesota could decline to have us or invite us, and we're glad we get to be there every year. It's a terrific facility. It's got opportunities for athletes to prepare themselves away from the competition pool. And what I mean by that is there's warm-up and cool-down pools. Not too many places have extra pools where the athletes can really get ready for their race. It's fast water, if you will. It's a deep pool. It's got great gutters. Traditionally, the MIAC championships, especially since we've been there, are a very, very fast swim meet. So we do everything we can to get there.
Right, and Eric, we're the host school this year, even though it's not at St. Mary's. We're hosting it. What does that entail as far as just supplying a little bit of a workforce and or an organization, I would imagine, huh?
Yeah, St. Mary's, along with a couple other schools, this couple of single-gender schools and us being an outstate school, team up and basically help with some of the behind-the-scenes work. Once the meet really gets started, the conference office and also the U of M staff takes the reins, but getting things ready, behind-the-scenes work, T-shirt orders, volunteer organization, things like that have fallen on those couple of schools.
Let's put PJ back on the spot. Just real quick here. Eric, you knew what kind of a swimmer he was in high school. How has he progressed this year, and is it about what you expected, or is he above where you expected?
I think in terms of an athlete, he's about what I would expect, and I truly, and I say this with all sincerity, I think there's more to come. Getting through your first year is a big deal. You don't even often realize it at that time. But I think where PJ has excelled, if I may, is in the classroom, and I'll let you guys delve into that if you like. But PJ is a heck of a student too, and really, truly balancing what it means to be a student athlete. Well,
let's talk about that. And that's a nice little segue, Eric. PJ, what are you majoring in, and what do you hope to do when you're done with your career here at St. Mary's?
As far as right now, I'm looking at computer science, physics, and math, potentially a triple major. Not sure if that's going to happen. As far as afterwards, I'd like to go into data mining, but really anything to do with programming, computers, something.
Good
triple
segue.
Major.
That was a very good segue.
There you
go. Eric, for a lot of the conference championships, there are the meets that lead into them, and certainly swimming and diving is no exception, although there were separate meets for the swimmers and the divers. Kind of tell us about that.
In terms of?
Well,
this past weekend.
This past weekend,
yeah.
Right.
At the MIAC Invitational, what that did was replace a meet that we've used to have in the past. It's an invite for coaches to come and basically have your last opportunity at. Our divers and swimmers both competed at that one, but Tuesday night our divers had an opportunity to go over to Northfield for a diving-only competition. Sarah Jansen had a heck of a meet. Actually, Danielle also competed very well, and I think set Sarah up for a good conference meet, hopefully.
She seems to have been coming on quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, really setting herself up for a good spot heading into the conference.
Definitely. I think you hit it right on the head. She's setting herself up, finishing, peaking at the right time. So hopefully that'll continue.
And with the conference championships coming up, I think it's important for us to tell everybody that PJ is not the only person on the team that'll be competing. Talk a little bit about some of the other people that people should be looking for, that I should be looking for as the next weekend rolls around.
Certainly. Mark Ross, we talk about him quite a bit on the men's team. He's led us for a number of years now. He's a senior, looking at his last MIAC championships. He's qualified in 3 events. He's qualified in more, but you can only swim 3. And he'll lead us on relays as well. Senior Abby Kratzky got herself qualified in a new event this year, the 200 butterfly, which we're real proud of her for doing that, as well as a couple others. Anna Smarin and Savan Fogel are also individually qualified, so knock on wood, I hope things come together for us.
You know, it's kind of interesting if you look at the last 4 years. I can remember 4 years ago a Mark Ross sitting where PJ is and thinking, you know, this kid's got a lot of potential, and now you look at him 4 years later and really has had an outstanding collegiate career.
Definitely. I think, you know, there's always an opportunity to look back and you can be pleased with your successes and look at things you might have changed, but overall I think Mark's had a great career, as well as our other seniors. It's been a blast, so we're proud of him.
All right, one final question, PJ. Is Coach working you hard here leading up to next weekend, or is he backing off to make sure you're well rested?
I haven't backed off yet. I heard him say we're going to today. We'll see how that goes.
All right, so PJ Heller, Eric Lindquist, thanks for being on the show today, and good luck next weekend at the MIAC Championships.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. Donny and I will be back to talk a very, very busy past week in St. Mary's athletics. That's next here on HBC.
You know, we're doing things in bus magazines and the newspapers and things like that, and it's just like we seemed like we needed a different media, and we thought, you know, TV, perfect. Laura. She is awesome. She came out the first time. She was very, very personable, tends to your needs. I mean, anything that you needed, she was right there. I literally, seriously have been wanting to make more commercials just because it was such a great, fun process. I would recommend HBC to anybody.
Call Laura for details on how to get a free commercial for your business.
A state-of-the-art fiber optic network. Sure, you've all heard that. But what does it mean? Well, if you're an HBC customer,
It's television in crystal clear high definition and whole home DVR. Blazing fast internet speeds, perfect for gaming or movies. Phone service with your choice of features, including unlimited long distance. And now, HBC has expanded service throughout much of southeast Minnesota. Call today and see what it's like to be on a state-of-the-art fiber optic network with a local company receiving national recognition for their service.
Winona Homes was offered a deal from another company.
I switched to another company because they made some promises and I was going to get a better rate, so I switched.
But when she tried their deal, she ran into some issues.
The other company that I was with wasn't local. You couldn't even get somebody to come to your office.
At HBC, customer service is our #1 priority for your business. Let's just say Jenny is a lot happier now.
I have never had such fast customer service.
To see how HBC can help your business, call Melanie at 474-5802.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC, the sports show for St. Mary's University Athletics. Dean Beckman, Donny, Nadeau with you, and it's been a really, really busy past week in St. Mary's sports, and as we will look ahead as well, it's going to get only busier, Donny, but this past week for St. Mary's women's basketball, they have a couple of really great wins in there, and sandwiched in between was a tough loss to the top team in the conference, Concordia. And so it's been an exciting ride here for women's basketball, and it's only going to get even more fun as we look ahead to St. Ben's coming up.
Yeah, no question. It was a tough loss to Concordia, like you mentioned. Concordia came in here on Sunday as the conference leader and kind of showed why right now they're #1 in the conference. They played a very solid game, and so did the Cardinals. You know, we knew coming in that game was going to be a game that could go either way, and unfortunately on that night it went the Cobbers' way. But St. Mary's is set up in great position right now. Right, they've already qualified for a conference playoff berth. They're in the top 4 right now. It looks like with a win in one of the last 3 games, they will be able to host the first game will be on their home court. So and you know, thanks to St. Benedict, they're just a game out of first place in the conference standings with 3 games to go. St. Ben's beat Concordia on Wednesday night, so it really tightened up that gap between 1 and 4. And you know, so right now we've got 3 games left. You've got you know, a big one on Saturday. You certainly can't look past Bethel. But then, like you mentioned, on Wednesday we've got St. Benedict here, another match against the Blazers, and then we close out against Augsburg. So you know, a lot of basketball to play. But the nice thing you can say about the women is they'll be playing after that game against Augsburg to end their regular season. You know, a great accomplishment already for them to make the conference tournament for the 2nd straight year, and hopefully it's just a start of you know, a great postseason run.
And that game next Wednesday night against St. Ben's will begin at 7:15 right here on HBC-TV 25. We'll have that game live. And Donny, I was going to ask you what you thought about St. Ben's beating Concordia. I wasn't sure how to take that. I didn't know if that was good for St. Mary's or bad. I actually kind of took it as somewhat bad because now, you know, after St. Mary's won in their last game against Macalester, I thought, okay, now we'll be tied with St. Ben's, assuming that they would lose to Concordia. But now St. Mary's still finds itself in 3rd place, a game behind St. Ben's.
I think that you can look at it one of 2 ways. I guess the way I looked at it is St. Ben's forced Concordia to come back to the field. So, you know, yes, they're still ahead of us in the standings, but as you look at them now, we're only a game back of 1st place. We take care of St. Ben's next Wednesday. Concordia slips up somewhere, and all of a sudden we're tied for 1st and with a chance at a regular season you know, co-championship. So I think if I were to from my standpoint, I was a Blazer fan last night, and I was glad to see them not let Concordia pull away and really pretty much lock up that that #1 seed. The important game, really, again, if Coach Pederson gets mad at me, you know, so be it. But the big game for them right now is next Wednesday against St. Ben's. that's going to be really for, you know, probably the number 2 spot in the conference tournament. You get that number 2 spot. Now you get a bye in the first round, and then you get to play at home. So there's a lot on the line on that Wednesday game, provided St. Mary's takes care of business on Saturday. And we learned Wednesday that you know, certainly can't afford to look past anybody. When you look at the Macalester game on Wednesday, St. Mary's was down by 15 points against a team that had only won 4 games all year. They're down by 15 in the second half and used a 24-7 run over the last 9 minutes to lock up the win. So I think that game in itself proved 2 things to the Cardinals. One, it proves that you certainly cannot afford to look past any team in the MIC. And 2, it proved that with a little bit of adversity, this team's just going to buckle up and get the job done. For them to finish that game, you know, on a 24-7 run and win by 2 points, I think it says a lot about the talent of this team and the determination that no matter what the score, they're going to be in it to the finish.
Yeah, that was a big win. I know a lot of us were following that game and getting a little bit nervous, especially it gets to about the 7-minute mark and it's still a 15-point game. You have to wonder. And so it was nice, I think, kind of a wake-up call a little bit for the Cardinals there. They come back, they get the win against Macalester, and I think we'll set them up well as they go to Bethel and play them this week. Bethel, you know, just ahead of Macalester in the standings. So hopefully they'll take care of business there. And then, as you mentioned, St. Ben's next Wednesday here on HBC. St. Ben's the hottest team in the conference right now, as they have 10 consecutive wins.
Yeah, no question. They're right now they're the team to beat, and I think they proved that against Concordia. Concordia is a great team, as we saw last Sunday, and for St. Ben's to go to Concordia and knock off the Cobbers is a great feather. And I think that, you know, Coach Pederson is one of those, and she's going to make sure that her team is focused on Saturday and taking care of Bethel. But we can look ahead to St. Ben's because, you know, really, it's no secret that that's a huge game. And, you know, you look at the first time we played Bethel, we scored, you know, over 80 points against the Royals. So there's no doubt on paper we should not have any trouble with them. But, you know, the game isn't played on paper. And so it's going to be one of those games that they have to go out there and get the job done. It's on the road. And, you know, hopefully they can come away with a win, and then they close out the regular season with 2 home games. So they're set up very well right now, and it's an exciting time. They, you know, they're in the postseason. That's always great, and it would be really, really nice with the fans and the support that they've gotten to be able to play that first playoff game at home, which would be a lot of fun.
Going back to Wednesday's game, how about Sarah Schoenthaler hitting a couple of big threes during that comeback against the Scots to help pull out that win?
You know, she's done that all year. She's one of the team leaders in 3-point shooting, and you know, she's got 13 on the year, which is pretty solid. And you know, she's done that in the past. She picks her spots to knock down those threes, and every time she does, it seems like it's a time when they really need a big basket, and you know, that's what you need. You know, we talk a lot about Jess Stone, and we talk a lot about Jamie Steffley and Courtney Early and you know, and Pethke at the point, but it's some of those other players, and Sarah's one of those that really, you know, they kind of go about their business, they do their job, and then when you really need them to step up and take center stage, they seem to do it. And last night in that big run, you're exactly right. She nails down a couple of threes that cuts that gap pretty quick, and you can do it by 3.
And switching now to men's basketball, the Cardinals snap a 6-game losing skid, a nice win over Macalester, even without the services of point guard Evan Pederson, sprained MCL, but the Cardinals come out with a big win, thanks to Burfeind, of course, doing the job, Brian Thomas getting the start at point guard in place of Pederson. He had a great game, as did Mark Schumacher.
Yeah, no question. And you know, you really have to tip your cap to Brian Thomas. You know, he got the start for Evan. Evan hurt his MCL in practice the day before the game against Macalester, and is out for the rest of the season, which is really too bad because he was having such a great sophomore season. But you know, Brian gets the nod. He scores a career high 14 points. And the thing about it is when the game was tight, St. Mary's is clinging to about a 8-9 point lead late in the second half. They go on a 12-2 run to kind of put the game away, and you know, Brian has 10 of those 12 points, and so you know, he really stepped up when Coach Landrum needed him to, and you know, Mike Burfeind, what can you say? You know, he joins the 1,000-point club on Sunday with his 24 points against Concordia, and you know, he stepped on the court again on Wednesday and just picked up where he left off, scoring 17 against Macalester. So you've got to give, you got to tip your cap to Michael. He's had a great career, and really was fun to see him set that mark at home, on his home court, and in that game on Sunday, you could tell he was determined to get that taken care of. He needed 14 points, and he had 17 in the first half. So he made sure to get that taken care of long before the game was in doubt. So you tip cap to him, and Schumacher. He's a great story, and he's really having a really solid freshman year, as is Will Swigum. Will had 14 rebounds against Macalester on Wednesday. That's a career high, and he's just become a rebounding machine. And he's so fun to watch because if you look at him, he's this gangly, skinny, kid from St. Charles, and yet, boy, you put him on the court, and you have that ball come bouncing off that rim, and he's there to haul it in, and is just he's a joy to watch, and is really turning a lot of heads around the conference because he is a very, very solid basketball player. Those are two freshmen that are certainly going to be forces to be reckoned with as the years go on.
We saw a lot of highlights here from Mark Schumacher. The one thing with him that I've noticed from start of the season and to now is he has become much more physically aggressive down low. He's really matured, I think, from that standpoint, kind of knowing what it takes to score in the conference.
Well, and I think a lot of that is confidence. When you come in here as a freshman, you're going up against some people who are some men, and for a lot of freshmen, that's pretty intimidating, and it takes a little while to adjust to that and to realize how physical the game of basketball is. And I think that's the one thing, Coach Landerman and I have a lot of conversations, and that's one of the things that he's always talked about is, the game of basketball is an extremely physical game, and they don't get any pads. They're playing this with, without any type of protection, and that physicality can take its toll. You look at their roster right now. I don't want to jinx Will at all, but if Will plays in these last 3 games, he'll be the only player on their roster that'll have played in every single game this year. There's been times when they've been without Burfeind. Now they're without Pederson. There's times that Schumacher hasn't been in the lineup. So it's not an easy sport to play, and there's a lot of banging and there's a lot of beating up of each other, and I think that in Mark's case he's learning how much of that there is, and like I said, I think that you get a season of an off season of weight training and an off season of just continued work. He and Will are just only going to get better.
Donnie, we're seeing highlights from that Concordia game last Sunday. I think the win against Macalester was great, and we needed that, snapped a 6-game losing streak, but a 1-point loss to Concordia, that is a victory as far as I'm concerned. Concordia tops in the conference. Very few gave us a chance in that one, and we almost pulled the big upset against the Cougars.
No question, and that was probably start to finish the best game they've played all year, and you're right, you hate to look for moral victories, and you hate to look for that silver lining, but you're absolutely right. That was a game that right down to the very end, right down to the last seconds, could have very easily gone our way, and that would have been a great feather in the cap of this team because they did work extremely hard and played very, very well. And unfortunately, the ball just didn't go their way at the end of that game, and I think they used a little bit of that confidence they may have gathered from that game when they took the court against Macalester, and they just left no doubt. I think there was St. Mary's lost to Macalester the first time around, and I think there was a bad taste in their mouth, and they wanted to make sure to avenge that loss. And I think that playing as well as they did on Sunday certainly helped them when they took the court against the Scots.
Here we're seeing highlights from their 60-47 loss to Carleton College. So it's been a big week for St. Mary's basketball, women and men, as the men snap that 6-game losing skid, and we see their upcoming schedule here. This weekend here on HBC, as we shift to hockey now, we'll have a men's and women's hockey doubleheader this weekend on Channel 25. The men's game against Gustavus Adolphus will be on Friday night, beginning at 7:15 with the pregame. First puck drops at 7:30, and then the women's game at 1:45 on Saturday afternoon, a 2 o'clock start to that game. Donnie, in men's hockey last weekend, a huge split against St. John's. They lose big Friday night, 6-0. Am I overstating it that the Saturday game may have been the win of the year that 2-1 overtime victory over St. John's.
I think to this point, that probably is St. Mary's, win of the year. It was one that they really, really needed if they had any hopes of making it into the postseason. And you look at the standings right now, and 9 teams in the conference, and 8 of them have legitimate shots at making it into the conference tournament. We're not just talking about mathematically alive, but really legitimately have a shot at making the conference tournament. And with St. Mary's sitting at 13 points and in third place, they're in a good spot right now, especially considering they play Gustavus, which is a team that's also battling for that to get into that playoff mix, and then they play Concordia to close out the season. Again, another team that's right in that mix. With the 2-1 win over St. John's, St. John's is probably the hottest team in the conference right now. They were 4-0-3 prior to that Saturday loss to St. Mary's, so they were playing extremely well. Had beaten us, really, they'd outscored us 14-1 in the previous 2 meetings between the 2 teams this year. So for St. Mary's to turn around after a 6-0 loss and come up with probably their most solid overall performance in getting that 2-1 win was great to see. And you certainly tip your cap to Bobby Thompson, who got the game winner, a shorthanded tally, and give credit to Jason Horstman. He came on and made 32 saves in goal for the Cardinals and played very well. Hasn't seen a lot of starts this year. Andy Schei's been doing a great job and has seen most of the action, but Jason was called on Saturday and did an outstanding job. And I think that game in itself will hopefully build some confidence. With 4 games to play, the Cardinals are right in the hunt. I think that their chance of a conference title probably is pretty remote. But in third place with 5 teams qualifying for postseason, they're right there in the hunt, and hopefully they can keep it going against Gustavus, a team that they've played very solid just about every year. Since Coach Moore's been here, it's just been a battle every time they play. And I don't expect anything less this weekend.
Yeah, Friday's game will be huge. You can watch it right here on Channel 25 beginning at 7:15. In women's hockey, Donny, it does seem like the trend for the women's team: play well on Friday, not as well on Saturday. That continued last weekend when they took on St. Benedict up at St. Mary's, won the Friday night game handily 4-0, came back and lost 2-0 on Saturday.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did play very well on Friday. I got to give Greg Moore credit, the assistant coach. You see the pink towels in the background. Unfortunately, it was an accident. He didn't really do that on purpose. It was Pink the Rink weekend in awareness of breast cancer, but I had to give Greg a little bit of a ribbing there. St. Mary's played very well on Friday night in that 4-0 win. Sarah Gustafson did an outstanding job, 21 saves for her first shutout of the season. And then on Saturday, they just didn't have that same jump. They didn't play as well, and they lost 2-0. The problem they're going to have this weekend against Gustavus is they can't afford anything less than their absolute best. Gustavus comes in as the number 2 ranked team in the country. They're 18-0-1. They just tied the 10th ranked team in the country 1-1 on Tuesday, and they've outscored their opponents 54-18 to this point, and have not given up. They've given up 3 goals once this season. Their last 8 games, they've given up 6. So they're very tough defensively. They can score goals, as I said. They've got 54 already. So it's going to be just a battle. Yeah, here we see some of the highlights from last weekend. And again, we'll have the women in action right here on Channel 25 beginning at 1:45 on Saturday against that very good Gustavus team. Donny, last week on the show we had Coco Booker from the track and field team, and they went up to Superior, Wisconsin, and had a big meet up there. Yeah, Coco did a great job, and our guest succeeding, it happened again. Coco had a great performance in the shot put. Peter Borash was very solid in his event, finishing second, and Gabe Thiel had a nice race as well. I think that Coach McMahon likes what he's seeing right now. I think it's still kind of early in the season, even though really the indoor is just 3 weeks away. But I think he's more excited for this Friday. They have their home indoor invitational, so it'll be a good time for the home crowd to get to see our athletes compete, and that's always fun for Coach McMahon. He looks forward to that event, and a big one on Friday for them. And congratulations to the women's tennis team knocking off Bemidji State 7-2 in the season opener for tennis. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest here on HBC.